Alright, so I ended up taking this sheath out of the press after a few hours last night, and still not square, still squishes in too much, and again, that's just because this handle is so thick. Not loving the leather sheath. Now, the one thing it does have, you can see the little indentations here, it does retain the knife quite nicely. Like you stick it and it goes, you can feel, oh yeah, see if you can hear this. Yeah. Kind of cool. Very, it kind of gets me into experimenting more with forming leather, because I have been seeing some gents on Instagram lately making leather sheaths that they've formed. Oh man, some of them look really good. Also, I do believe that when you're going to form leather, the proper way to do it is to form it first and then stitch the pieces together. I don't know. I'm going to do a Kydex sheath for this. I want a very small sheath. I'm going to do a fold over type sheath, a little belt clip on it. You know, this knife isn't large, just a little guy. Thicker handled, but that doesn't mean it has to be, you know, this big honking thing, you know, you carry and you've got this small blade. So I'm gonna try and make a minimalist Kydex sheath for this, and yeah. Got a good press in there. I think the temperature is absolutely perfect. It's just like a wet lasagna noodle. But Kydex is so particular, you know, if you're not careful, like the ideal working temperature to where it starts to get these weird lines and kind of glosses over, it's like a matter of seconds. It's like dusty gloves. Anyways, I think we got it right, so we're gonna let that cool down for 10 minutes. Alright, let's see how it turned out. Ooh. Well, see, we're a little bit extra meat on this side, but I think that's kind of inevitable just because of the fact, again, such a thick handle, thin blade. I think we're gonna make this work. So what I'm gonna do is do a little wrap here, and I'm gonna have this front portion come around like this, another piece of Kydex, and it'll come all the way to the back, and I'll hit these holes here, and that's how we'll fasten it. And then on here, we'll have the Kydex kind of stand up a little bit so we can put our belt clip on here. Alright, so I just finished up lunch. My wife made me a wonderful lunch. What I've done is I've taken this little piece of G10 right here. We've kind of put it on there, taped it in place as a spacer. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat up this piece of Kydex. When it's warm, we'll wrap it around. And ultimately, we'll hit this, we'll trim it all up, and we're gonna wrap around the sheath. And then we're just gonna bring it to about here. So it's not gonna be a full wrap like this. I find that's a little bulky, but it's just gonna come to right there. We'll kind of trim it up, make it all look good. And I was debating on maybe using a different color, black, orange, blue, but I think I'm just gonna keep it gray. This color goes well with the twill. Is that twill material? I think that's twill, but anyways, let's throw this in the oven. We'll get that going. Also, while I was waiting for that to cool, I put some, made some shims. Oh, never mind, I don't have it set up, but basically we're gonna use a small wheel attachment here and on this grinder, and I'm gonna try grinding a fuller freehand, but a curved fuller. Okay, so here's a few experiments, just kind of testing the lines, and you see how it curves. This first one here was a little too close to the cutting edge, so I moved it up here close to the spine, and just trying to get that curve of the spine of the knife in there on the fuller, and I think it's gonna work. I've never really ground like a full freehand fuller before. This was, I think this was called the Chanto that a gentleman had ordered, but I ended up making it like 4 inches too short, so I'm gonna go ahead and process this one. We'll grind a fuller in and get the bevels done. You know, hopefully next week this one will be available. Ah, yes. Okay, let's turn up the oven and we'll get this Kydex wrapped. Yep. This was kind of the key. I wanted this edge nice and tight. Obviously this will be trimmed. I'm gonna trim this around here because I don't want any extra retention. And we've got a nice standoff, so once we take this thing, put that on there, and then this thing will come out and we'll have clearance in this little channel we've created for our screws to go. Okay, so we trimmed up this piece, kind of cleaned up all the edges, and essentially this is what we're left with. Interesting, funky little piece of Kydex. Got this part clicked together, and I rinsed this out with cold water really well. The reason I use cold water is because this, obviously being a thermoplastic, if it gets heated up, it can lose its shape, but I always worry about it. I don't think it would happen, but I always worry that if you heated this up and you had a little piece of abrasive in there, it might kind of get impregnated in there and then it'd be forever scratching. But, ooh, clicky fit. That's nice. It's not loose and jiggly. Ooh, comes out real good. No scratch points. I like that. And you see most of our retention is happening right here. That point, and then on that same point, that little detent where the screw head is. But that's kind of the nice thing with this here too. This clip part just pops out, boom. I like that. Nice and clean, not too big, not too bulky. Well, I'm gonna go take some beauty shots of this and get it listed on the website. All right, we got this knife sharpened up, and then I jumped out onto the front porch, and we have this like wicker table. Actually made a really great backdrop for photographing this knife. I just used one of these cheapo little pop-up tents, and then my old YouTube camera. You pair that with a 50mm, even just this cheap little nifty 50, and as Peter McKinnon would say, you can really get some bangers out there. Right now, I'm gonna go cook a stir fry on the flat top. We started out the day raining and overcast, and it's just like sunny out now, so let's go do some stir fry.